Hello and welcome. My name is Steve Pugh, and every Monday I do something called a growth strategy podcast. And what I love to do is introduce you to really interesting people who have great stories to tell, who are really kind of inspirational and stuff that they've done, and people that I think have genuine value to kind of share and kind of talk about and stuff. So Mike, who I'm going to introduce you to today, was actually an introduction from Dean Benson. Really top guy. I've really done my homework. He's done some incredible things, but I'll let him kind of talk about today. If you want to ask any questions, get involved in the chat. It does pop up on my kind of screen, and I'm happy to kind of bring it in. And yeah, if you hopefully stay with us for the next kind of 30, 40 minutes, you'll meet a really interesting guy. Here's some great stories about stuff that he's kind of been through, his businesses, his passion for different stuff. And yeah, we'll crack on. So Mike, there we go. People can now see you and hear you.
Guys, you all right?
Perfect. Before we kind of jump in, would you be happy to almost just give a quick kind of intro about who you are and like your backstory and stuff? Is that cool?
Yeah, no problem. So my name is Mike Hind. I grew up in South Bank in Middlesbrough. I got three kids, Freddie, Max and Sky. Actually, it's Max's birthday today. He's 8 years old, so
Happy birthday,
catch
Max.
up on this later. Happy birthday, Max. Yeah, three children, Freddie, Max and Sky. I got a wife, Jenny, who's also my business partner. In the businesses that we own. Yeah, like I said, I grew up in South Bank, lived there till I was about 12, 13, then moved up into Western, and then, yeah, grew from then. And I'm a joiner by trade, so I served my time as a joiner. And then I always said I wanted to work for myself by the time I was 30. Don't know if it was a good thing or a bad thing, but yeah, it's now there. So, and now I own a gym, Commerce Body Gym in South Bank. I own a meal prep company and a few more businesses as well, which I have along the way.
No, cool. I must say, it's always funny that when you meet people that have multiple businesses, you obviously got a real passion for it. And it's hopefully, if you don't mind, I might pick your brains on lessons you've learned and stuff that you've kind of been through. You also recently got your MBE. We'll go into the detail on that, but actually, because I'm mega impressed. I think it's so cool. Do you mind if we actually start with that? Just because I love it. I love the whole story, and I'll just kind of set things up.
Do that.
Oh, wow.
With that. So that is it. Go on, ask away, Steve. You tell me what you want to know.
What's the crack? What's the story? Like, how did it? What happened?
Honestly, I think she gave it the wrong person. I reckon there was another Mike Hind out there who deserved it. On a serious note, I honestly don't know. I was driving down the A19 and I was on my way to Costco, believe it or not. And Ashley, my PA, who works for me, was sat beside me, and she had an email come through. It pinged on my phone and it pinged on hers. And she went all white. I said, "What's going on?" She went, "You're not going to believe it." I said, "What am I not going to believe?" She said, "You need to pull over. You need to pull over." So I pulled over, and
Wow.
she was shaking. She said, "You've been nominated for an MBE." So I said, "Actually, to wind up, we get a lot of online hate." And I said, "It's somebody winding us up. Just completely ignore it." I said, "No, I don't think it is." And effectively, it was an email saying that the Prime Minister had recommended the Queen name me in the birthday honours list. And I then either decide whether I accept it or decline it. And we just started responding with an email saying, if this is real, then it'll be amazing. If it's not, then it's 1-0 to you.
So what's it for? Oh yeah, by the way, it would have been a killer wind-up, by the way.
Oh, could you imagine that? But you sworn to secrecy, so you can't tell anybody. So it's not easy. I couldn't even tell my mum, my dad, any of my staff. It was the utmost secrecy. It's for my services to the people at Teesside, which it was awarded to me for. But I know it's my name on it, and I know it's me with the initials after my name. And I say this time after time, Steve, but I didn't get there alone. Mm-hmm. And it's simply not for me. During COVID, an unprecedented time where families were struggling, businesses were hit hard, and people who necessarily weren't ever in financial difficulty will find themselves who just. I'll tell you a story as we go along, but it was almost like people were just struggling who'd never been used to struggling. And people come together, businesses come together, people who could offer time, people who could offer money, people who could offer food, all sorts of things together. And I just had a big enough social following to pull all the pieces together and use my social media to be that. And that's the only part where I played time and following and investment in money. But a lot more people donated a lot more than me.
It is very cool, I've got to admit. But I think that what was quite funny, just I guess from everyone, is that when COVID hit everyone, it was new to everyone. Like there was no rule book about how we all deal with it and stuff. And I think that's always almost a funny thing that I know, a lot of the people in our kind of Northeast community, that like a lot of people are working class, that people just stick together. And it's one of the things that I won't ask you about garden parties, but one of the things that always gets me is that how people from every background, especially the poorer backgrounds, often stick to the rules more than other people, but they're always the ones that are most worst hit. And often it does take someone, often entrepreneurial people, who actually put their, go out of the way to make the effort to do stuff to help people, because actually, but it's honestly, it's so cool. So it's something I wanted to start on. It's just, I love it. I love everything about it. So it's cool. Would you be happy to talk about almost what you were like at school? One of the things I love to do is that especially with entrepreneurs, often there's similar kind of traits that people, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but they're obviously very similar. And I'm just interested to see, what were you like at school?
I was terrible at school in the sense that my school life was a horrible time for me, I'll be quite honest. Growing up in South Bank, my family didn't have a lot of money. My dad worked in the steelworks, my mum worked in Asda. I never wanted for anything. My mum dad always made sure that as kids we were looked after, but we were never well off. We always got a holiday a year on a bus. We'd go to Spain on a bus, and we do all things like that. But then we come to secondary school. I was never the fashionable kid. I never had the latest trainers. It wasn't me, and I wasn't very clever. In fact, mate, I still can't spell. I employ Ashley now effectively to do my spelling. The story is I've never ever read a book in my life. I've never read a book. I tell a lie. I've read one book, which Dean Benson actually gave me, what one of his staff members read. It's a really good book. I'll see if I've got it there. And interesting for your readers your listeners, to read that, because it was really good. But in terms of a book, an autobiography, anything like that, I've never read one, and I can't. I forget. And what I've learned over the time now is I can now do audiobooks. So I listen to them on my headphones, which I find really, really good. But through school, I was a kid who got picked on, and I was always the one who wasn't very clever at school. I was in bottom sets. I hated it. My worst time of my life. I remember when the school bell used to ring, I used to run home so I didn't get bullied. And that was me. That was my school life. I remember Mr. Wright, my maths teacher. My maths teacher. I think I was in my last year at school, and he pulled me to the side in front of everybody, pulled me to the side of the class, and his words were, "Hind, you are a bum. You'll be nothing in life." And I'll never forget them words. And every time I do something now, I remember that, and it's something I'll never forget. I'd love to meet him again now, Mr. Wright from Eston Park School. So if anybody knows him, I'd really like to thank him for helping me become the person I am today.
It's funny, isn't it? Because I had similar stuff. So I was quite good at school, but I still get the I was a single parent, mum raised two boys, so we didn't have any money. And what was used to be funny was that I used to get bullied because all the kids had Rockport or Kickers, and we couldn't afford either. And it was that balance of where it still kind of gets me that I think part of the drive for me, that why I was working so hard, was to not be poor anymore, but kind of because it was just ingrained in me, because I was good at the stuff, but actually I think everyone has their own cross to bear. Everyone gets bullied for something or whatever, but I kind of empathize with that. And then likewise, that for a teacher to do that, especially, all he's doing is reflecting his own negativity on someone else, and to do that to a child says a lot. He must have been a very unhappy kind of man. But
I'd love to know. I've searched now. I've been on Twitter and LinkedIn. I've tried to search, and I just wanted to write him a letter. I wanted to write him a letter and just say, just so you know, this is how he made me feel. But, this is the person I am. Things could have been very differently. I wasn't the easiest. I wasn't very clever. Believe it or not, now maths is my best subject, but that's because I work in my own business and I do it every single day. So we work on money. But yeah, it was just a crazy time. I didn't like school. I hated it. I used to tell my mum I was poorly. I'd make any excuse not to go into school. I think I probably used to have about 5 poos a day just so I could get half an hour out of a class. And that was what I used to do.
Can I ask, is that anything to do with why you obviously got into fitness? Because you're pretty jacked.
So the fitness side of things was quite different, to be honest, mate, because I was always bullied. I remember buying my first weight set and putting it in my dad's garage out the back, and I remember summer coming in and I'd put the Rocky Tap chewing on my CD player, and I'd go out the back, and I didn't have a clue what I was doing. And then I remember going up through the ranks in work and getting a job. I remember working with one guy, and he said, "Well, why don't you go to the gym?" And I said, I wouldn't dream of it. I'm only skinny, I'd get picked on.
How old were you at the time?
I started the gym when I was about 20.
Okay.
20
okay. Yeah.
So it was quite late to start the gym. And I remember walking the gym and I looked at all these guys and I said, "Oh my God, you were huge. You were huge. You were huge." And I remember, but you know what I found? That then people who were huge were some of the nicest people I've ever met. And I was so scared and so intimidated. I was thinking, you could crush me. Like if you wanted to drop that weight on my head, you could kill me now. And they were so nice and they were so welcoming and they taught me things. And the gym sort of, it was something that I took an interest in because it's something that I could control. Where at school, I didn't enjoy the learning. And for me, that was the gym side of things. I could control it. I could move up. I could get better. I could get stronger. And I had people there who wanted to help me, where not like the teacher who told me I was going to be a bum, guys who wanted to help me get stronger and fitter. So that was why I got into the gym.
I still think it's amazing that with, I think it's one of the big problems with the school system is that unless you do well in the grades, which not everyone's going to, they seem to make that all, everything. And the irony is that when I did go the academic route, you realize at a certain point, the piece of paper is meaningless. I would take the guy that grafts and works hard and doesn't know everything but learns and stuff all day, every day, versus the amount, because I think one of the issues you get, and you see this a lot with university kind of lecturers, they feel entitlement. They think they're like the shit when actually they haven't really done anything with their lives. They've just stayed in education all the time. But I think that it's a message which they should, tell kids more, that it doesn't matter if you're not into maths or science. That's all right. Just find what you're passionate. It could be cooking, could be fitness, could be whatever.
100%.
But I think it's just and then as you do kind of grow up, you can, work with an Ashley and the stuff that you'll be great at that maybe she isn't. And it's just, but I don't think they teach it enough, which is, so then talk me through what happened next. So you were 20 and then what was your first job?
So first of all, I was a joiner. So I worked for the local housing association, and I would fit windows, doors, kitchens, and alongside that, I always wanted to work for myself. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just always knew I wanted to work for myself. And my first thing I did, I don't know if you remember them. Do you remember flossies, the shoes?
No.
Do you not remember them? So flossies were almost like throwaway shoes. If you smelt them, they smelt like candy floss. And they were only cheap. They were about £25 a pair, and they originated from Spain. And I started selling these certain shoes from a garage. Now they would sell them in designer shops, and they were like say £25 a pair. I was getting them direct from Spain, so I seen a little bit of a niche in the market, and I spent what money I could have, and I think probably 50 quid. I reckon I started with. Bought these shoes, sold them, and carried on like that. And I moved my way from selling from my garage to selling on a car boot sale. So I went to a car boot sale on a Sunday, and I was known as the Flossy Man. So I'd have a stand, and then I moved from the outside pitching this and the car boot sale to one of the undercover ones. So I had my own little undercover bit. So if it was raining, I was still all right. I had my little picnic bench, and I used to make about £2,500 a day selling these shoes.
Wow.
Crazy. So people would queue, and there was one guy who he was the main man at the car boot sale. He used to sell prams, and I could see them all talk and pointing at my stall, and there was queues and queues of people for these shoes because kids could wear them, adults could wear them, and I was doing them. I think two pair for £20, so they were a lot cheaper than they were in the shops. Anyway, I took over him, so I was the main seller in this car boot sale, and this guy, he hated it. Anyway, at the end, you had the guy who sold the DVDs and the computer games, and the guy who sold the prams, and they all sort of liked me, and we got to be friends. But yeah, that's how I started. So I started selling these shoes. I would bring them over from Spain. I had a contact over there who'd get them brought over to Sunderland and Leeds, and I'd drive up on a Saturday morning after work or Friday night, depending on when the ship come in. I'd fill my van, bring them back, sell them. I'd come home from work every day. There'd be a queue outside my house, all the way down the road for these shoes.
Wow.
And I used all that money to set up what first become Mass Body Development clothing brand. which is how I started. So I started first from the gym because I wanted a vest what fit me. So I then found a manufacturer for a vest, and I put that money that I made, I sold my pitch at a car boot sale, and I put it into mass bodybuilding clothing brand, and I opened an eBay shop.
Wow.
Then started selling that from my house. My friend had a tattoo shop, so I rented a little room from him in his tattoo shop. I actually had 2 business partners at first. So MASS, which my other business called, used to stand for Mike, Alan and Steve, 2 business partners. They then didn't see the company going anywhere, and they wanted to concentrate on their tattoo business. So I bought them out at the very early stage, £2,000 each. And then I carried on alone, and then went from there. Now I'm happy to go on, but it depends on where you want to take it.
No, it's class. Honestly, I love stories about when people start to buy, because the funny thing is that when not everyone has that. I always talk about my wife, because my wife was almost like straight A student all the way through school, and she grew up in Darlow, so she, she's not posh, but almost but she's never had that spark to kind of like, I want to set up a business, buy something, sell something, whatever. And for some reason, some people just have it, and it doesn't matter if it's shoes or tattoos or whatever, you just get the idea to kind of, and I love that. But it's annoying, again, they don't teach that at school. You've either kind of got it or you. So then
what? The little things that the kids like getting back. Sorry for interrupting you there.
Yeah, that's right.
When I hear now, like my son will come home now and he'll say, "Dad, can I buy this pack of Mars bars, 6 Mars bars for £1?" I say, "No, son, you're not eating Mars bars." He said, "I don't want to eat them. He said, I'm going to sell them at school." And I love that. That's what I love. He wants to sell them at school because he can sell them cheaper than they can in the canteen, and he can make some money. Wow. And I love that. Shouldn't kids get the opportunity to do things like that at school, to almost set up a business to sell stuff, if it's cakes, if it's whatever?
That's the best thing anyone's ever said on the podcast. I love what's quite funny actually. My brother's got is Alfie, he's 11 now, but it was about when he was about 8. We were in a restaurant and I was talking him through. He was like, "Oh, Uncle, how's the business going?" And at 8 years old, he still knew about buying stock, and like he got it, and it was like honestly, I was blown away. But I wish they did. Honestly, that's the best thing anyone's ever said. So, what kind of what various businesses and stuff have you got now?
So I started with the clothing brand. That was my main business. I rented I started with an eBay shop. Done really, really well from there. Then I rented an industrial unit, and it was in Skipper's Lane in South Bank, and I started selling these clothes from there. And then I sponsored a lot of top bodybuilders. Okay. So I got introduced to a lot of people, and we went to exhibitions at Birmingham EC and things like that. And my business was around the time when Gymshark, we had a Gymshark. So Gymshark and me were about the same time. And we were at the Body Power together, both very similar backgrounds, but he had a lot better business sense than I did. He's a businessman. He had people around him, and what he's done with his business is unbelievable. What I sort of, I'm not going to say I messed up, because I don't regret anything that I've done in life. I regret things that I haven't done. But one of the things that I do regret is I had a meeting with Sports Direct once, and they wanted to take my clothing brand in 11 top European stores, and I turned it down, because I figured that I wouldn't have the infrastructure to deliver. And realistically, what should have, looking back now, I think, so should I have maybe looked to build then? Should I have accepted that and just winged it? And I didn't. So that was one of the mistakes.
But it's also integrity, you know what I mean? So you knew if you could have, because again, it's one of those things that some people, like we've all met people in business and they're full of shit and they'll just promise the world and not deliver. And I hate it. So the decision that you made was probably the right decision. That you could have blagged it, but you could have lost everything. And that, because the one thing as well is that the one thing that sticks is reputation. So when if people actually respect you, or someone that does what they say they're going to do and whatever, that sticks with you for the next 50 years. If you're someone that screws someone over and just doesn't deliver, word will get round and nobody will touch you.
Yeah, and that's what I say. For me, people as a customer, they don't buy into a business; they buy into a brand and a person. And for me, that's what I wanted to create ethos around my companies now. Is you're not buying into a company, a brand. You're buying into people, whether it be me and my team. Because although it's my company, my companies wouldn't be anything without the team that I've got around me. And that's one thing what I think gets lost a little bit as companies grow. They forget about the people who were there at the start and helped them get to where they got to. And I'll never ever forget them people who believed in me when I didn't believe in myself.
Yeah, no, that's very cool. You've got a gym as well, I believe.
So what happened then is the clothing brand. It was going really, really well. We were turning over around about £400,000 a year, which was good from a brand what didn't create anything. I didn't have any advertising.
That's good for anyone.
I had the great athletes alongside me, and then other companies started coming in, taking a lot of the business, and I had to sort of make a decision: do I carry this on and try and scale it, or do I look at other areas to improve? So what I did then is I took the unit opposite my clothing brand, and then I opened a gym. And what I basically got was an old industrial unit. I had no money. I had £10,000 in the safe from sales of clothing. So I said, I want to open this gym. I don't have a dumbbell. I don't have an idea how to run a gym. I know how to train, but how do I do it? So I did a little bit of a different idea. What I decided I would do is I would sell a membership to a gym that didn't exist. So I went on my social media, which was nowhere near as big as what it is now, but I went on my social media and I said, look, I really want to open a gym. I want to offer all user membership for £100 a year, and there's 100 memberships available. So does anybody want it? So I said, I'm going to take money from the next day. And the next day, mate, I come and I had 100 people turn up, pay me £100, and you give me £10,000. I had £10,000 in the safe. So I then went over to the unit, which was available for rent, and I paid 4 months rent up front. I said, there's my 4 months rent. That gives me enough time to build this gym. And then went on eBay, I bought as much kit as I could find. And I come back and I turned an old industrial unit into a gym. Within 3 months, we were up and running. And I just vowed that every penny that the gym takes, it will get reinvested to make it better and better and better. And that's where we are today.
How long ago was that?
2014, we opened the gym. So we are now, 2022, 8 years.
Yeah. And what happened next? How did it go?
So the gym was really, really good. That was my forte. That's what I love to do. And I wanted to grow that and expand it. After I opened the gym, I wanted to work with people who didn't believe in themselves, because that was me. So people thought mass meant big because it was called Mass Body Gym. People thought it meant big, it was strong. So mass, actually, I renamed it to stand for Mike and Sons after all the business partners, which was quite fitting, to be honest. MES, it fit quite well. After I opened the gym, it went really, really well. And then I started entering into some awards. So there's an award within the fitness industry called the National Fitness Awards, which is the biggest, most accoladed award ceremony. So I entered my little gym in Middlesbrough into it, and I come runner up in the newcomer of the year, and I thought, it's amazing. So then I started I wanted more, I wanted to improve, I wanted to be better. So I decided that I would start taking clients on and try and help them lose weight and become fitter and healthier. So I started entering the Best Personal Trainer of the Year award. In the first year, I made the shortlist out of thousands of people, but I didn't win. The second year, I made the shortlist out of thousands of people, and I come second. And I was like, I'm so close. Third year, I entered, and I come third. And at that point, I sort of stormed out, and I was thinking to myself, what more can I do? And it made me realise that it was not what more could I do, it's how much better could I do. So I went back to the drawing board. I said, right, from now on, this is my goal. I want to win that award. So the next year I went in for it again. And that year I won it. I became UK's best personal trainer, which was great. I was on top of the world. I was getting recognised for the work that I did. But the next year I didn't want to lose that title. And I thought, I want to keep hold of it. I want to keep hold of it. So I entered again. I won it again. No one's ever won it 2 years in a row. The third year, I've done it. I entered again. I thought, I can't win it a third year, surely. And I did. I was 3 times UK's best personal trainer consecutively, which was fantastic. But that was a testament to my clients, because I have some clients, the people who come forward and dedicate their life to their given goal. And as a personal trainer, it was absolutely unbelievable. So, I went from there. Now I'm a judge for the National Fitness Awards, so I stood down. I managed to retain it the 4th year, but only because of COVID, so no one could take that title off me because COVID was there. and then COVID hit, and it hit the fitness industry massively. And within the fitness industry, the gym shut down, so my business was shut. I had staff who were obviously getting paid. I had two choices: either send them home or allow them to do something beneficial. So what I decided to do then was to put them into my other business, which is Macro Based Diner, which is a meal prep company. And I'm happy either to go one way or two ways with this conversation. I can tell you how I grew that business, or I can tell you what we did during COVID with that business.
I think both.
Right, okay. So
as long as you're happy to.
Yeah, I'm happy. Ash, you just got that shut down. So during I'll go back. So I was sponsored. Winning the national as well is great. You got known, you got people interested in you. And I was working with some really high profile people. One of them now plays for Barcelona. I've trained Frank Bruno. I can go through a host of people who I've trained, people who've been on X Factor. And the one thing what I always struggled with was people getting them to eat right. I could sit there and do a diet, and I could say, right, that's what you need to eat. Yeah. Eat 100 grams of chicken and 100 grams of rice and unlimited amounts of vegetables. And you'd go home and you'd go, right, okay, how much is 100 grams of chicken? So the first day you do it out, the second day you go, that's about right. The third day is I'm starving, I'm going to eat 200 grams. So it was always a difficult thing. I got sponsored by a meal prep company who come forward and said, we want to give you the food and we want you to eat it. So I had two boxers, a European champion boxer and his brother, who I looked after. I'd done a diet, nutrition. As they would give me the food, the one thing what's really important with food is to try and weigh out the exact grams. It's a little bit like money. If you're going to a shop and a product is £10, you need to give them £10. It's no good giving them £15 because it's too much. It's no giving them £5 because it's not enough. So food works the same way. It needs to be an exact amount of grams of food to convert into calories. That was always the hard part. So the company were providing me with the food. They weren't getting that right. It was minimal. It was maybe 100 grams of chicken rather than 120. And they didn't understand the importance of it. So it was at that stage I decided, you know what, I need to take control of this. So I said to the company who were doing it, look, how about you cook the food for me and I'll do the rest and I'll weigh it out and I'll give it to customers. And really they were going to give away a percentage of their business by doing that, but they either want to work with me or against me, and they chose to work with me. So when that happened, I went and I bought the unit where my business first started that I lost in the early days.
You're gonna have a whole business park, aren't you?
Yeah, well, I want to be the Dev Hallahan, on Coronation Street. Dev Hallahan owns all the shops and stuff. I want to be that. I want to run all these businesses. But on a serious note, I bought the unit back, which I lost in the early days. I was kicked out of that unit, so I moved out, and I always thought one day I'm going to buy that back. I managed to buy the unit back, and then I set up Macro Based Diner. And in the early days, I was doing maybe 100 meals a week for various people. And now we do thousands and thousands of meals a week. Wow. And we deliver them all around the UK.
Wow. You know what's quite funny actually is that the sign of a good entrepreneur in any business is that when they know the detail, and I can tell by the way that you're talking about stuff and the fact that 120 grams, not 100 grams, or whatever, I can see how much you genuinely, you get it, you love it, you live it, it's what, you get some people again that blag, they do something and they make a bit of money from it, they don't really care. And almost I can see why clients want to use you, because it's that commitment to them, I guess, that why people come to you.
Yeah, that's what you say about reputation, isn't it? If the client doesn't lose their weight. See, I become a little bit more, I'm going to say, popular or well known when I took Dibsy. I don't know if you ever heard that story. Did you see the story with Dibsy?
Nope.
So Dibsy was a guy who was 40 stone. He had to lose 20 stone to save his life. So when I first started out in business, one of the first things that I did was said, every year I'm going to give somebody the opportunity to work with me to change their life. So I brought up on social media and said, who wants to work free of charge with me? I'll train you, I'll help you with diet and nutrition, and we'll do this. So I went from helping somebody lose 5 stone in a year to losing 10 stone in a year. And after that, I would then give them a job to come and work with me. I put on social media and I said that I want somebody who wants to change their life. Only this time, they're going to get all the training free and they're going to get every single meal for the year free from me. So it works out about £60,000 worth of product and service. And loads of people, thousands applied. And at that, I turned back up to my meal prep company and I walked in and there was a guy walking towards me. And I can only describe the guy as the biggest human being I've ever seen in my life. And I walked past him and hey mate, all right? And he was taking the first step to come into the meal prep company to get his meal. So I could see it's a big thing. For some people, need to lose weight to try and accept that they need to lose weight. You come in there, he was talking to the girl who I employed, Leanne, who lost 15 stone with me, and he was talking to her. And at the end of it, I messaged on our work group on the night. I said, who was the lad who was walking out as I was walking in there? And they said, oh, his name's Dibsy. He's actually applied for the transformation. So I said, I need to speak to him, and I need to talk to this lad. So they put me in touch with him, and I sent him a message, and I just put, Dibsy, it's Mike. I need to see you if you're serious about losing this weight. And I got back a message from him saying that he'd watched all my transformations on Facebook, and he's been waiting for this opportunity all his life. He'd just come out of hospital, told that he was going to die. His heart was in atrial fibrillation, so it meant that he had an irregular heartbeat, but they couldn't operate on him because he was too big. They couldn't give him the right amount of medicine to put him to sleep to do it. So I brought him and his mum down in my office from my staff, and I said, right, I need you to be honest with me now. Tell me what happened. How have you got to this weight? What weight are you? So I'm 40 stone. 40 stone is a big amount of weight. So I said, right, okay, what I want you to do now, go away. I want you to write down everything that you've eaten over the last week and tell me it. So he did. He come back in the next day and he gave me this piece of paper. And I'm pretty straight, and that, with the greatest respect, mate, you didn't get the 40 stone eating that, so we can either be honest or not. So his mum sat and cried, and she said, Mike, Mike, no parent wants to bury the son. Please, I'm begging you, help me. So it got me all choked up. So I took him to the hospital because the only place I could weigh him was on the weigh bridge at the hospital. I couldn't fit on normal scales. I weighed him, and then I put it on social media that I was going to help this guy, but he was addicted to takeaways. So what I did is I made a poster, and the poster said, don't feed Dibsy, obesity is killing him. And I went around every single takeaway in Middlesbrough and give it to the owners. And I said, you don't serve this man. And the paper's got all of it, the Sun, the Mirror. It went on the Wendy Williams show in America. We've been on This Morning 4 or 5 times, Piers Morgan. Went on every newspaper, and the journey was followed for 2 years. And we are responsible now for the UK's biggest weight loss ever. Within 1 year, we lost 20 stone in a year. He done absolutely amazing. He was fantastic. In the first year, together, we climbed Ben Nevis. So he went from not being able to walk 20 steps to climbing Ben Nevis. We ran the Great North Run together. And he completely changed life. And I become a little bit more well-known in the public eye when we were on the TV. So Piers Morgan, I remember him putting something like this in. Piers Morgan begs hero personal trainer to save him from red wine. And the Sun done the stories. And yeah, it was an amazing journey. It was an amazing chapter in life. But Dibsy then went away to work, and I've now brought him back into my company. He now actually works for me now. And he's put a little bit of weight on during lockdown. But yeah, that's the story of how I've become a little bit more well-known.
Honestly, it's incredible. I'm worried we're going to run out of time. There's so much stuff I want to ask you, but honestly, it's because my next question was going to be, why do you do what you do?
Because I love it.
Yeah.
Do you know the truth? The truth is, every single day, I take them tablets, and I take them tablets. So it's Citalopram and propranolol for anxiety, stress, and I suffer with mental health. I do suffer with it, and my way of dealing with it is a very selfish way, and I like to help others because it makes me feel good. So for me to combat my mental health, I find helping someone else achieve what they didn't think was possible gives me a sense of worth. So take the business side away from it. I don't come to work. I've never worked a day in my life since I've had my own business, because this is just life. This is just life. And I absolutely love what I do. I love working with people. I love meeting people. I love helping people. And if I can go home every night and say that one person smiled because of something that we've done, my world's complete.
Yeah. What does Dibsy's mum say to you now?
Sue's gorgeous. She's unbelievable. If you ever get a chance, there's a documentary on Channel 5 called Eating Ourselves to Death. So that was done on me and Dibsy. It's really worth watching because you'll get to meet Dibsy's mum. You'll see the background story. So I think you can get on 5-star and on Catch Up on 5 called Eating Ourselves to Death on YouTube. It's really worth watching, and you should watch that, because addiction to food is very similar to an addiction to alcohol, to drugs. You know, it all plays a part. We're addicted to something. And Dimsy's addiction was to food, and he would do something really good in his life and he'd celebrate with food. He'd have a really terrible time and he'd console himself with food. So that's the one thing that I've learned, is it was much more than just the training side of him. It was the mental side of him. And because I suffer with them sort of things myself, I can almost adapt and put myself in someone else's shoes.
Yeah, I can tell.
His mum's gorgeous. His mum's gorgeous.
Because that's I think the big thing that really comes across that I love with podcasts is that, you know, when you get half an hour to talk to someone, you get such a better vibe. But, you know, in a TikTok or a 1 minute video, you can't get to know someone. But I think what's really funny is that where you can tell how much you care about the stuff. And again, so when people work with you, it's not just about a personal trainer to beast you on the treadmill. I get it. I can see it. So when obviously you found out you were going to Windsor Castle to get your MBE, you decided to raise some money. Would you be happy to talk about that?
Yeah. And I think we need to blame the person who's responsible for us two meeting for that, because Dean Benson, I got a message from, one of my employees works for Dean Benson's business partner, and she said, Mike, I've got a client who wants to come and work with you. I said, no, I've got no room. I don't want to take anyone else on. I'm done. Will you do it as a favour for me? He owns Visual Soft. He does this. I said, I don't care whether it's Father Christmas, right? There's not enough hours in the day. I've got enough to do. I don't want anyone else. But Dean was quite persistent, and he'd keep on badgering me. There'd be emails, there'd be messages sent, and he kept going on and on. So I said, come down and see me. And when I met him, what an absolutely amazing bloke he was. So full of character. So I said, look, I'll train you. But he had this thing that he didn't want to train at my gym. He wanted to train at home. So I first thought, he's a little bit up himself. He didn't want to come to my gym. He wants to train at home. Who does he think he is? So I signed with his tune for a week, and I said, look, you've got a taste of what I'm about. If you want to carry this on, you come and train with me. You come in my gym. You know better than me. And do you know what he said? I was just scared. I was scared of walking at the gym for the first time. So you come in, and I trained him, and he come at the end of his 3 months. And we got
very
on
honest
really,
of him,
really
to be fair. It's exactly what you said. It's very honest of him when you would say 20 going to the gym for the first time.
Yeah, 100%.
But when you walk in, you're like, fucking hell, that guy's big.
Yeah, exactly. You know, he'd never been into the gym, especially the gym in South Bank, which is an industrial estate, you know, until I said, look, come in. And he did, and he fit in. We've got one guy maybe who's not out of prison, but then I've got the mayor. So I've got Ben Houchin, I've got the Police and Crime Commissioner, I've got Jacob Young, I've got the MP. I've got different people who normally in everyday life wouldn't meet each other, but in a gym environment, we're all equal. As soon as we step out that door, what we do for the job or what we've done in our past isn't important. It's what we're doing going forward. So Dean coming sort of got that vibe, and he's added so much to the gym in terms of his persona, the way he is, and his how can I put this? He's achieved a lot in his life, Dean, but he's still a normal guy, and I think that's what really shone me to him. And from there, we become friends. And now he doesn't pay me to train him. He trains with me now. He's my training partner, so we're doing a lot together. And when I was going for the MBE, I got the opportunity to do it a different way. And that's another story. But I said to Dave, I said, you know what? I said, during all this, I've raised money for children. I've helped kids. I've helped families who are struggling. I want to do something for this, because otherwise, all I'm going to do is get my MBE. I'm going to get in a nice car. I'm going to drive down to a nice hotel. I'm going to enjoy the evening. I'm going to get up next morning, put my nice suit on, take my wife to the Windsor Castle, and be all about me. Oh, he's Mike. He's great. Well done. And I thought, it's a little bit dickish of me if I did that, to be honest with you. It's not really me. How can I give something back? So I said to Dean, I said, you know what I might do? I said, I might walk down to Windsor. And he went, yeah, you should. So I thought, yeah, I probably should. So I went home, I Googled it, Middlesbrough to Windsor, how long? 3 days. I thought 3 days is fine. 3 days, 18 hours. I thought, that's fine, I can do that. Not realising there's 24 hours in a day, so that's actually a lot longer. So I then put on social media, so I'm going to walk down to Windsor. And I thought, oh, fuck, this is going to take me a long time. So I said to Dean, right, you do realise now, so you're training for the next 21 days is walking with me to Windsor. So he told me to do it. So, sorry, mate, you walk alongside me. So he did. So I put it on socials and who we're raising money for, and come forward, and a lot of people wanted the Armed Forces charity, SAFA. And I thought it was a great charity for the simple reason is along the way, it's not Teesside based. Every town I'm going to pass, Safa, or there's a ex-military or serviceman or woman who's going to be affected in some way, who can come along and join us on the walk. So it took us 21 days. We walked from Middlesbrough every day. We started from Middlesbrough from our gym. We walked for about 5 hours. We then used, have you ever heard of anything called What 3 Words?
No.
So What 3 Words, it's great, you should get it, it's a great app. Basically, it's an app where if you were anywhere in the world, there's 3 words that describe that exact point that you're at. So if you were to draw an X on the floor, what 3 words would give you 3 words would direct you to that exact point. So if you were lost in the woods and you phoned and said, where are you? Oh, well, I don't know, I'm next to a big tree in the woods. Well, you could use what 3 words and say, I'm at John Smith Brown. And then the police would use that and they'd go, oh, John Smith Brown, and it'd find you. So it's a great thing. So every day we'd walk to a point, we'd walk 3 words in, I'd then get picked up, brought home, I'd come back to work, I'd do my job, I'd put the kids to bed, I'd get up next morning, take the kids to school, I'd then get dropped off at the point where I finished, and I'd walk for another 5 hours. And then I'd put an X on the spot, and I'd come back again, and I'd do my job. And at first it was fine, it was good, it was like half an hour, you were walking for 5 hours, it's taking you 20 minutes to drive there. But as it got further, it got really hard, trying to drive for 3 hours, 4 hours, then walk for 5, then drive back for 4 hours. But it's something that I had to do. And yeah, the walk was unbelievable. We met some amazing people down in, the further south I got, the nicer people actually got. Like, I remember walking through London and there was all these school kids with a Domino's pizza. And at this stage, I'm walking down there, I'm starving, I've got blisters on my feet like you wouldn't imagine. And that Domino's pizza, I just felt like somebody off, you know, the cops in America where you see them, that's all they do is eat pizza and donuts. I felt like, well, I need one of that piece of pizza. And if that was down here, one of the kids would have told me to F off, they'd say, fuck off. Them kids were lovely, like, you know, all right, mate, great work. I had a big flag on my back, do you want a piece of pizza? They were class. And the amount of people who I met along the way, one person I met was on a canal boat who worked down this canal. And there was this guy, and he was sat outside his canal boat with his dog Dexter, a bulldog, and he was just having a can of beer. And I was walking down, there was me, Dean, my wife, and then there's a couple more. And I say, mate, all right. He said, yeah, what are you doing? So I'm walking to Windsor. And it was nothing to him because it was probably only 20 minutes from there. He said, all right, okay, great. Where have you walked from? I said, Middlesbrough. And he sort of shook back. So we got talking. I said, what's the crack of these canal boats here? What do you do? He said, well, we park over here for 7 days. Then we've got to move a mile up the road. I said, so you live here all year? He said, yeah. He said, I don't worry about nothing in life. It was almost like these millionaires who live on yachts abroad. This was his yacht. This was his life. Yeah, what a way of life they had. It was unbelievable. And then the last day we got to Windsor, full team were there, people. The last couple of days, it was really good. The last couple of days I was really, really struggling. My feet were killing me. I was stopping every couple of hours to put blisters, put plasters on. And I said to Dean, we're going to have to run. I can't handle this water, it's too much, I need to run. So we started running. And the pain was killing me, I'll be honest, it was killing me. And I was running, Dean was a little bit behind me, and I'd just seen this car on the side of the road, this woman run across the road, and she stood there with a box of roses, and this is in London. She said, Mike, I brought you some roses, and she'd been following the journey on Facebook of us walking there and waited till we got to her hometown to come meet us, to bring us a box of chocolates. And I swear to God, I just sat beside the road, cried, and give her a big cuddle. Probably shouldn't have done for a COVID, I suppose, but I'd give her a big cuddle. And it just made the last 5 hours of pain worthwhile. Then the final day, I'll tell you, how long have we got left?
As long as you want, honestly.
Are you all right?
Yeah.
So I'll tell you how it works in Windsor Castle. I haven't told no one this story. So the first person to know. So we went to the hotel, me and my wife, and I took my kids, and Ashley come with us. She then drove back home with the kids, and me and my wife stayed for an extra night. We then got to get up in the morning, drive down to Windsor Castle, and it's called the Long Walk. Right, so if I just fucking walk long enough, right, I walked for 21 days. So on the letter it says, it's a long walk. So I thought, fuck me, you're joking, aren't you? 3 miles. I thought, oh no, this has just took the 251 mile, 254. Anyway, we drive down this long walk, and then you go in, you come at the gates of Windsor Castle, and all the police are there, and they've got the mirrors work under your cars, and they're checking for anything they can. Remember, we're going to see the royal family. We didn't know what it was at the time, but it was the royal family. So they come, they check all the cars. There's like 6 cars there going. Anyway, we're waiting. Then go in. So we drove in. I Get in the back seat of the car, park up right outside Windsor Castle, pick up my coat, my jacket, put it on, looked on the seat of the car. There's only my son's pretended gun under my jacket. I'm in Windsor Castle, and it looked like a real gun. And my words, Jen, I said, what the fuck's this? She said, oh, that's Max's gun. I said, Jen, I was like, what do I do? So I got a bag, put it on top of it. I swear to God, mate, imagine if I'd have picked that gun up and went, excuse me, I just got shot to pieces, wouldn't I? How they missed that, I don't know. But yeah, so that was all I was like all sweaty, so my pits were sweaty. And then we goes in, and then you go in the grounds absolutely unbelievable. It was a gorgeous day, the sun was shining. And as you go in, they check your name off, so they just ask you your name. And can I take your name? I said, oh yeah, it's Mike Hind. And she went, oh, you're the guy who's walked here. I thought, how'd you know that? So anyway, took you through. There's hundreds of people because they've been put back. So you go through, and as I got there, funny story, but you go there, and you queue up for ages. But anyway, you go to meet. You find out who's doing it. It's Prince Charles. Mm-hmm. So for me, it was great. It was somebody who I knew. I'm not really up on politics or the royal family, so for me, it was like quite a big thing. Oh, Prince Charles. Mm. So you queue up and say, right, okay, so they'll talk you through it first. So when your name's called, you walk forward 5 steps, you then turn to face Prince Charles, you bow, you walk forward, you talk to him. At the end, you shake his hand, you take 5 steps back, you bow again, and you walk off. Okay, so I've got it. So I'm stood there with the Lord Lieutenant, and they say, Michael Hind for his services to Teesside. So here we go. So I walk forward, I turn to face Prince, I bow at him, I walk forward, and he says to me, how are your feet? I said, sorry, it's quite a distance you walked. He said, you're the first person I've ever heard do that. Oh wow, so he knew all about it. So yeah, we had a conversation about what we'd done. And at the end he said, do me one favour, go home tonight and have a glass of whiskey. No, I don't drink whiskey. So I said, right, okay, you're the boss. So at that stage, I shook his hand and then completely forgot what they told me to do. So I shook his hand. I said, right, thanks, nice to meet you, mate. And I turned around, walked back. Oh shit, I didn't bow. So then I sort of take a step backwards, turn, bow, and walk off, and I completely fucked it up. But then I come out, and the royal family, they had all the media there to take me into private rooms to do interviews. It then was trending on Alexa, man walks to Windsor. So it was class. And one thing it done, as well as raising the money, it raised massive amount of awareness for SAFA, who were overjoyed with what happened. So, and it was a great way. And one of the little things I just want to get in here is when we were trying to raise the money, we set the target. I've got the figures here. I think, I've tried to raise £25,000. So when I said we'd do it, Dean was the first person, so he donated £1,000. He put £1,000, he said, I'll get the ball rolling. He said, but just so you know, if you're short at the end, there's me and a few more business people who will help you out. So we'll try and make sure you get there. But the deal was that if I didn't, and they had to step in, I had to walk back, which I would have had to do. I'd set a target, I had to do it. So I was thinking, oh, please do it. So anyway, in the end, we were at about 18,000. And we were going through Melton Mowbray, and unbeknownst to me, Melton Mowbray at the time was getting quite a lot of media attention about the pork pies. I don't know whether it was something to do with Boris Johnson about pork pies. I forget what it was. So anyway, I'm walking through Melton Mowbray, and I said, I'll tell you what, here's an idea. I was doing a live video. I said, here's an idea. I said, anybody who donates today, I'll buy a pork pie, and I'll pick one of you to win this pork pie. Mate, so we raised £1,000 from a pork pie. I thought, that's crazy. As if we've just offered a pork pie, £5, and we've raised £1,000 because people want to win something. So it got my brain thinking, and I thought, that's a great way. So anyway, the last couple of days, we were all driving down 2 cars. We were driving down to the starting point, and we were at about 22,000 we were at. So we were so close, only £3,000 away. And Dean had said, what are you going to do? I said, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to try something very, very different. So I went live. I said, look, here's an idea for you, all right? The pork pie was fantastic. What I'm going to do, is anybody who's made a donation so far, doesn't matter how much, whether you've done it £1 or £1,000, I'm going to give you an entry to a draw, and that's to win a state-of-the-art iPad. The iPad was 500 quid. So I said, but if you donate £1, then another £1, then another £1, another £1, you'll get 5 entries. Every £1 you donate will get an entry. So I'd done it while I was live, and within about 25 minutes, we hit the target. Wow. So because the followers had a chance to win something and be part of something, I tried to bring my business ideas into the fundraising side. Mate, it was unbelievable, and we raised the money, we hit it. We managed to raise again £26,921, and including the gift aid, we raised 30,896 for Saturday.
Wow. Amazing.
So it's class. Unbelievable.
Amazing. Honestly, I've really enjoyed this, and I am conscious of time, so if you need to shoot, tell me.
I'm all right, mate. Mate, I'm a gobshite. I'll talk as long as you want. So you just tell me when you're ready for me.
No, that's cool. It's cool. Honestly, fascinating stories, and it's just I was lucky enough to go to Windsor Castle quite a few years ago, and it's yeah. And luckily, I managed to blag my way into the Royal Garden Party once at Buckingham Palace, and it's quite funny. Yours is so much better than mine, though. But what's quite funny is that you go to the Buckingham Palace and you get all dressed up and stuff. And when you first arrive, you go through to where the garden is, and then everyone's like meeting and greeting. There's a massive line where the royals walk down and shake people's hands, and it takes like probably 2 hours for them to get from where the house is to like where they've got their own little area. And we kind of watch them, and you know whatever. And then we thought when you leave, they'll do the same. And basically, when we knew people started to line up, because you look at the clock. What was quite funny, my wife was like, we've got like an hour, so I'm just going to pop to the loo. And basically, so my wife popped to the loo, and then they just walk out at the end. They don't like take their time. And we had the Queen just like literally walk right past us, but my wife was in the loo.
I shouldn't see it. Oh, mate. And you won't be allowed no cameras or nothing, will you?
No. Well, you're not meant to, but everyone did, you know. It's that kind of thing. But honestly, it was class. But honestly, I'm mega impressed about everything. And likewise, that I forgot what the maths teacher was called, but fuck him, it doesn't really matter. But the stuff that you've done is just amazing. But I think people will get that your heart's in the right place when you're doing all this stuff. It's not an ego thing. It's not about you. Honestly, I think it's awesome. The way that I tend to end every interview is I have 2 questions. I love this bit. It's my favorite kind of bit. And, you know, it's a chance to kind of give value back and share and just different things. Would you be happy to share the best piece of advice you ever had?
Best piece of advice I ever had? Well, it's a hard one. One thing that always sticks with me is when I was growing up in business and I didn't have a clue what I was doing. The thing I always say is I'm not a businessman, I'm a man with a business. I haven't got a clue how much money's in my bank. I don't know how much money's in the safe. I come to the same place every day, do the same job every day, and I absolutely love it. And the one thing what advice I was given was you'll find that your team around you becomes so important and invaluable to the person that you are and the person that you're trying to be. And I always believe that they need to be valued, and you know, whether it be the cleaner who cleans my gym, or whether it be the PTs who work alongside me, whether it be my wife who owns half the business, every one of them people are just as valuable. And I think it's about time that companies should give credit. So never ever take credit, always give credit, and always show respect. And that's the one thing that I think someone always taught me to pay it forward. And that's the one thing that I've always tried to do. Pay it forward, give back to those who believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And, you know, I started this business for £50. I've still got £50 in my drawer. And if I lose everything tomorrow, you know what? I've had a fucking good time. That's about it.
And James, you are right. If you're watching, he is quite inspirational. So honestly, it's top notch. And what's quite funny is that my mum was a cleaner and she was also a dinner lady. So it's that balance of when I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now if she hadn't grafted and worked hard for me to. So I get it. Trust me, I get it. If you were to give advice to your younger self, any age, it could be the kid at school, it could be before you started the walk, it could be anything. Even the advice to walk backwards 5 steps.
Yeah.
If you were to give it,
go on. Sorry.
No.
Give one piece of advice to my younger self. What would it be?
Yeah. So you know the questions.
Yeah. I think. I'm not going to say the normal believe in yourself, Listen, a business fails for two reasons, right? Because I'm not a businessman. It was never a fucking business in the first place, so he didn't work hard enough to make it work. So the best piece of advice I would give anybody is, or to myself, just because it didn't work doesn't mean you failed. It just means your babies didn't take the right direction. This room what I'm in it now, when I first opened this gym, I tried to open a cafe in here to sell food. It didn't work. But then I took a unit and created a company, a brand that does meal preps. And I sell to footballers, I sell to TV stars, I have people of Hollywood to buy from me. I've had Frank Bruno here. I've had many, many people who train here. But I also have Dorothy, who lives at number 27. I also have Dave, who comes on his way home from work. And each one of them people are just as important. And I think if I was giving myself any piece of advice, in total now, looking back, is every single person, no matter what they're worth, who they are, what their stature is, everyone's equal. And I think that's just the one thing that I'm a different sort of businessman. I don't care how much money I make. I don't care. I fucking love it. I love this job. I love this life. I love Middlesbrough. I love Teesside. I love helping people.
Honestly, mate, I think you've smashed it. Honestly, it's class. It almost get me emotional. Honestly, I love it. Oh, cool. Is there anything you would like to talk about and plug before we go?
No, I'm not really into to plug my own business, mate. I would just like to finish it off to anyone who's listening. Anybody who wants to do something nice for people or to help. It's not all about money. It's sometimes about time. The one thing we can't get any more of is time. We have a limited amount of that, and it's valuable. And that's one thing what Dean always told me. As much money as Dean has and he can give in, I value his time more than anything else. And I think that's what everyone else needs to remember. It's time. So make time, pay it forward. I always do a thing. If I go to Starbucks, I always pay for the car behind me. I'll always pay for that car behind. Don't care what car I'm in, whether I'm in my company van or my own car.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just nice to pay it forward. I'm in a position to do that. Sometimes I get ripped off and sometimes it's a 30, 40 pound bill and but it's nice to pay that forward. But sometimes it's also nice just to smile at somebody, to say hello, say good morning. And just because somebody smiles a lot doesn't mean they don't need that, how you're doing. So don't forget on your strong friends. That's the one thing I'd like to say.
Honestly, mate. Honestly, this is awesome. Cool. Well, genuinely, thank you for your time. I know we tried to set this up a while back, but then you were walking and you weren't. But we've done it, and it was well worth the wait. But thank you for your time. This all gets clipped up and goes onto YouTube, and I'll do a little best bits on LinkedIn and stuff. And honestly, you've now overtaken Chloe Clover. Do you know Chloe from? I
worked with Chloe, lovely girl, both of them. They actually done some videos from in the early days. Done really well for themselves.
Yeah. Well, until today, that was my favourite interview. So honestly, it's been fantastic. So thank you for your time. Love to the family. I'll let you go and get your son's eighth birthday. Go and treat him.
Yeah, go bowling. I'll have to go up his ass.
No worries. Thank you for your time. Have a great day and stay in touch.
Yeah, take care, pal.
Cheers, mate. Bye.
Bye, mate.